Do you know what it means, donar?
No.
It took like 3 years for me to learn. Dönmek is turning.
Mm-hmm.
So donar means a kebab that is turning. That's basically what it means.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean,
Fun fact about donar. Because when I learned it, I was like, yeah, it makes sense. Because every time you say like donio, don kind of a thing. And one time I was like, donar kebab or donar donio. Evet ya donio. I was like, hello everyone. Welcome to another episode of Istanbul Sour. Here today we are with Fawzy.
yes.
Welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
So,
Pleasure to be
Fawzy,
here.
yes, it's time for introduction. Why don't you introduce yourself to us?
Okay, so my name is Fawzy. I was originally born in Gaza, Palestine. I immigrated to the United States, well, with my family, obviously, at the age of 2, and I was raised in Orlando, Florida. I spent around probably like majority of my life there, up until like 19 years old. After I graduated from high school, I decided to join the Army National Guard. I spent 6 years in the National Guard, and also during that time, I moved to California at around the age of 19, and I've been living there ever since, up until recently. Now I'm 25, and I've been living in Istanbul for the past year. I'm looking to, explore different cultures and see more of the world.
Great, wonderful. So let's start from childhood. You first moved to Orlando. How was the experience?
It was interesting. Orlando and Florida in general is not the most diverse state in the United States. It's more like white majority, and a lot of the older population in the United States goes there to retire.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is it nice?
No, it's just because, mainly they go there for the weather.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people from like the northern United States, once they reach that retirement age,
Mm-hmm.
they're looking to escape to warmer weather and, escape like the harsh winters of the north.
I
So,
see.
yeah.
Totally makes sense.
Yeah. So, growing up there, I want to say like my experience in school was a little bit, outside of the normal. Especially with my background, there were times where in order to fit in, I wouldn't use my name. I would go by like an American name. And, it wasn't until maybe like middle school or high school where I accepted, my background and my name, and I stopped using like that American name. And I was like, I don't care if people mispronounce my name. I'm just going to make them say it. Like, I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
And then, it was a little bit hard to fit in with certain groups because
You talk about American school experience, right?
yeah.
And this is what, high school, middle school?
It was pretty consistent throughout the whole period up until high school.
Mm-hmm.
By the time I reached high school, I had like a small group of friends that we just stuck together throughout the rest of the high school time. But in elementary and middle school, that was still like me still trying to find out like who I was and build my identity. And it was kind of like hard to like fit in with certain groups because,
Get it.
Like you don't really fit into their culture.
So that's what I was going to ask you, to be honest. What was the first experience? What was the first weird experience you had that you were like, yeah, okay, I'm not fitting in this place? Do you remember any specific memory of the time?
Yeah, I remember it's usually with my teachers,
Oh, really? Not the students, teachers.
Yeah, that I remember the most. It was with teachers, like the way they pronounce my name, the way they kind of like butcher it. And then I remember it was in middle school where during 9/11, they one of the teachers kind of had like a meltdown. I don't remember it too much, but she kind of started having like a meltdown about like 9/11, and I swear like she slammed her hands on my desk.
Really?
Yeah, like I don't remember the details too much, but that was the main thing I remember, like the meltdown and then her just slamming her hands on my desk out of all people. And I'm like, what's going on here? Like, this is a little weird.
Did you feel the pressure after 9/11? Because many immigrants in the United States, they were under heavy pressure of the media and the public, and the society was like, you're responsible for this.
Yeah.
And that was like, because during the time of crisis, everybody's looking for someone to blame.
Yeah.
And so how was the experience? Did you feel under pressure?
Well, I was pretty young when it originally happened, but, every year they make a point to like, never forget, that kind of thing. And, growing up, my mom, she wore the hijab, and, during 9/11, like a day or two before and a day or two after, like we kind of wouldn't go out on purpose just in case, because Florida is a more of like right-wing conservative state, and you never know what might happen.
Yeah, I understand. What was the best experience? Now we talked about all the negative things. Let's talk about positive things as well. What was the best experience you had in American school?
Honestly, like probably when I got to high school,
Okay.
I made, like a good amount of friends playing sports. Like I played soccer, and I got to know a lot of people from different backgrounds. Like, I had friends from like Asia, friends from Latin America, Central America, and just getting to know those kind of different backgrounds, it like kind of made me feel better, because we all are, not white, and we all have differences among us and cultural differences. And so getting to experience, the stuff that they've gone through while also relating that to my experiences, like it made me feel more comfortable. And, I'm still friends with them to this day.
And at the same time, you were working while getting your education. You were helping your parents.
Yeah.
So what about that?
Yeah. So my parents, as immigrants, they didn't really come to America with like, a degree or like a, reliable background. So they kind of had to work their way up and kind of do everything their own. So when they first moved to the United States, they started with like selling stuff at the flea market. And then after that, they made their own business for like cleaning houses. And then afterwards, lastly, they started their own catering business. So they would do like large events, private parties, stuff like that. And also they opened up a food truck.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So
What kind of food?
just like Mediterranean food.
Okay.
Yeah. So like falafel, shawarma, hummus, stuff like that.
Nice.
And it was pretty popular. It was like pretty successful. And so throughout that whole time, I was helping them, with like their catering orders. I would help with like prepping food, like grilling, cutting chicken, like all that kind of stuff. And then I would help like on their deliveries and also with the food truck. So I would go to them on these events and I would basically like take orders, or I would be inside of the truck, like, prepping stuff as well. So yeah, like I started.
Was it a fun experience working in a food truck? I mean, you were too young. I understand that, but
I don't know if it's like fun, but it definitely builds character, because I was pretty young and I didn't have experience talking to people really. And here I am like working at these events where it's like pretty busy and you have a long line.
Right.
And you still have to talk to these people while taking their order. So, there were times where I was pretty nervous, but, I ended up getting over it. And, yeah, it was definitely like it built my character up.
How many languages do you speak, by the way?
Just two. Yeah, I speak Arabic, but it's pretty like whitewashed. It's like that. I think it's pretty common for like my generation, I guess you could say, like who grew up in the United States, to kind of lose touch with their background like that.
I see. And then you went to high school. You started going to high school, right?
Yeah.
How was high school?
It was fun. When I first started at freshman year, I still kind of had like that identity crisis, I guess you could say. Like I didn't really know what I was doing or who I was fitting in with. But, as time went on, I slowly started to make more friends after like playing sports and, through my classes as well. And yeah, I wasn't like the best academic wise. And, I wish like I would have taken it more seriously, but I feel like part of the reason was because I was like too busy like helping my parents like with their business. So we never really had the opportunity to like get special tutoring or like for me to just sit home and like work for like hours like on studying and like becoming better. But you know, I still take responsibility for it at the end of the day. Like there are plenty of people who probably are in the same kind of situation and they still make it work. But yeah, you know, it is what it is.
Nice. Then you decided to join the National Guard.
Yeah, so funny how I ended up doing that. I really had no intention of doing it.
Plus, can you please tell our audience what is National Guard? Because I guess many non-Americans don't know about it.
So the United States military is broken up into quite a few branches now. So they have the Air Force, the Navy, the Army, Marines.
Space Force also?
Yeah, Space Force, thanks to Donald Trump. And the Coast Guard. So pretty much, you know, the Coast Guard, they stay in the United States. They don't really go outside of America. They stay on, you know, the coasts and the water, stuff like that. Marines and Army are pretty much the same thing. And then you have Navy and Air Force. But within these branches, they also have what they call active duty and reserves or National Guard. Active duty is like people who do it full time. So every day, you know, they're on duty, you know, they get sent or they get stationed overseas, like in Germany, Japan, whatever, or they get sent on deployments.
That's normal duty, you said?
Yeah, active duty.
Active duty.
You know, they're the ones that get sent on deployments, stuff like that. And then National Guard or reserves, it's more like part-time. So after you complete your training, you do it like maybe once a week. Once a month. So you do like usually a 2-day drill on the weekend. And in the summers, you do like a more full-time. You do like maybe between 2 to 3 weeks of just like continuous training. They call that annual training.
And what do they do? Like, what is their job?
So it's pretty much just the same thing as active duty. It's like you have the same kind of jobs, but the only difference is you're doing it part-time. And also National Guard can get activated in their state.
Yeah, so but Army cannot be activated in within the United States borders.
Correct.
But National Guard can.
Exactly, yeah. And so they can get activated for like emergencies. Like, for example, when I was living in California, I got activated like, it feels like pretty much every year to help with the wildfires.
Wildfires, Californian wildfires.
Yeah, so the wildfires in California in the summertime, they get really bad, and you know they can be like out of control at some point. So I've been activated a couple times for that, and then also there were some like protests and riots. I think around like 2018, 2019, I got activated for that as well. So yeah, that's pretty much like what the National Guard is.
I see. Let's start from the training. I'm so curious. What's the training like? National Guard training.
So yeah, basically the Army, like active duty and National Guard, like they still go to the same kind of training. The only difference is after you're done with that training, you go your separate ways. So active duty goes to where they get stationed. National Guard, they go back to their state. So the training is the same thing. Everyone gets a standard, I think they call it basic training. I believe that one's like around 8 weeks. And that's where you like learn all the basics of like, you know, like shooting, running, doing all the physical activities, like your uniform.
Is it difficult?
It's not like too hard. It's just all, I feel like it's more mentally challenging because, you know, during the whole time where you're going through all of this, they're encouraging you to basically quit. They want people who like can't mentally handle it to just, you know, they want to like pick them out.
I get it.
Yeah, and then so after the basic training, everyone goes to their specialized training. They call it AIT, Advanced Individual Training, and that's where you get trained on your job that you have chosen before, you know, when you originally signed the contract.
I see. And what was your job?
Mine was, they call it CBURN. It stands for...
CBURN.
Yeah, so it stands for Chemical, Biological, Radiological, and Nuclear Specialist.
Wow.
It sounds like
Damn,
a lot. But
so you were prepared for North Korean attack.
Yeah, it's like if I have to do my job, it's gonna be a bad day.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. So what is the training for nuclear war? Is there any training for nuclear war, like
It's
preparation kind of a thing?
not so much the preparing for it. It's preparing for like the aftermath.
Prayers.
Yeah, what to do, like how to decontaminate people and equipment and vehicles, how to set up like safety zones, basically how to respond to like
Is it
those
a
kind
unit?
of attacks. A unit?
Yeah, like is that a unit? Like
So yeah, the unit that I was in was actually a unit just for that.
just for that?
So yeah, and that's pretty rare. Like normally they don't have too many of those just because, like I said, we don't do our job too often. So they don't need a lot of us.
Right, makes sense.
So my unit was like one of the few, but on top of that, additionally, like every unit outside of us would have like maybe 2 or 3 soldiers who specialize in our job.
I get it.
Like train and kind of like
yeah,
prepare.
I understand.
So yeah, that
Was there any time that you guys felt like we are so close to nuclear war? Because I remember there was a time that there was this discussions between Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un, and America was scared of a possible nuclear threat.
Yeah, there was, and it was during that time. And I think if I remember correctly, they accidentally sent out like a notification to people who were living in Guam
Okay.
that there's a nuclear. I think it was Guam or Hawaii or both.
Okay.
And they sent out a notification on text message like, "There's a nuclear attack coming. Everyone like find shelter."
Are you
But it was like
serious?
a mistake. Yeah.
Wow.
So it was pretty like scary experience I can imagine for
what
them.
did people do? Yeah.
Yeah. It's like there's nothing you can do.
They're
like-
just running around. Like- I
Um,
see.
yeah.
I see. So then moving to we have a note from what is that? Oh yeah, 2018 Hawaii false missile alert.
Yeah.
I see. So what about? Have you ever been deployed out of United States, or it was all inside the United States?
No, I was lucky enough to not get deployed outside of the state.
Wonderful.
But funny enough, so originally I signed my contract in Florida, and that was where my National Guard unit would be. And as soon as I got back from my basic and advanced training, and I got back to the unit, they were like, "Oh, your unit just got deployed to Africa, to Djibouti," and
Ooh, I know where that is.
And they were like, "Do you want to go?" I was like, you know what? I think I'm good. I'll pass. And yeah, so after that, I ended up transferring my units to California when I moved. And, there was always talk of like, yeah, we're going to get deployed next year or the year after to,
Never happened.
this place or that place. Luckily, it never happened. But,
Great.
when I first signed my contract, I was like 6 years, like I'm almost positive that there's like a high chance that I'll probably get deployed. And a lot of my friends that, I went to basic training with, they did end up getting deployed. So I had friends who got deployed to Iraq and Syria, and some even got sent out to like Ukraine before all this stuff happened.
Oh.
To like,
That was like classified information. There's U.S. armies in Ukraine.
No, yeah, but it was weird. Before no one knew what was gonna happen.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
they were
yeah.
out there like
Training, NATO
doing-
training. Yeah.
like joint training,
Oh, yeah,
exercises, whatever.
Yeah.
And luckily I spent my 6 years without getting deployed,
Great.
and I got to stay in California.
Yeah. And going to the Californian wildfire, how was the experience? Because we always see it on the news, and I guess many people do not really understand or feel how scary it can be, the wildfire. So how was the experience being there, helping out?
Honestly, it's really shocking. It's crazy to see how powerful and how devastating that the fires can be. A lot of the times we would show up like after it's already done its damage, and we would basically, look for survivors, set up like quarantine zones, and also like go through the rubble. So there were times where me and the rest of my, I don't know what you want to call them, like soldiers, coworkers, whatever. We would be going through houses that had been burnt down, looking for, like remains, valuables, stuff like that.
People?
Yeah.
Did the place been evacuated long before?
No.
So
No,
there
a
were
lot of-
people there.
Yeah, so you're looking for like bodily
Bodies and
remains.
stuff,
Like there were
yeah.
times where the only last remains you would see of a person would be like a piece of their bone hip.
Oh my gosh.
And because that's how strong the fire is.
How was the psychological experience of that?
It was pretty crazy. you're walking through these, the fires that happened, the one that I remember the most was in Northern California.
Yeah.
And it was in a very rich area, so you have these houses that are 3 stories, 4 stories, and you can see that they had an elevator inside of their house, and the only thing left of their house is 2 iron bars that was used for the elevator.
All
so
gone.
Everything else is
everything's
just
burned,
done, like just ground.
Wow.
And you're going through the ashes looking for like any signs of human remains or any like gold or like any also you see like the safe boxes that they keep personal items in or whatever. So those are the only things that you see left of these houses. And it was pretty like eye-opening.
Yeah. Have you ever had any near-death experience?
No.
While being on the wildfire and stuff.
Actually, you know what? One time we had set up our camp, and normally when we set up our areas, it's like an isolated area, like in nature. So we had set everything up, all of our tents, all of our equipment, and next thing we know, there's a fire burning and coming towards us. And it's literally maybe like within 200, 300 meters.
Yeah. Wow.
And you see
Too
it like
close.
Yeah, you see it pushing towards us, and everyone had to evacuate immediately, and just like everyone was running, grabbing all this stuff and just throwing it into the back of trucks and like basically trying
Any
to...
casualty?
No, someone did fall and like, break a bone, but other than that, like, no.
I see. Wow.
That was
Crazy experiences. Yeah. So then riots.
Mm-hmm.
I believe you're talking about Black Lives Matter protest, right? So were you deployed at that time?
Yeah, so we got deployed for that. I think it was around maybe like 3 weeks where we were, deployed. And
where were you at that time?
So we were in Los Angeles, in an area called Santa Monica. And that's a lot of the protests were going on down there. And the area we got deployed to was just like a city hall building for like, I don't know, like the mayor or something. Mm-hmm. And there wasn't really anything going on there. We're just kind of just standing around.
So you didn't experience anything crazy?
No. We didn't really see much. I think most of the action was happening like in a more central area.
Yeah.
But, when we got activated, it was like almost every National Guard unit in the state. So there was, military all over the city, military and police.
I see.
Yeah.
And I guess that one very shocking thing for the world we were watching outside of United States was Capitol building, when people attacked Capitol building. Mm-hmm. Did you remember that time?
Yeah.
Were you part of the National Guard at the time?
Yeah, I was. And it was pretty interesting to see that happening like on TV.
How was the feeling among the National Guard members?
Well, being in California, like, I don't think we were worried too much about it unless it, like, blew up into a whole, like, coup.
Yeah.
But there were, the states closer to Washington, D.C. were getting activated.
Wow.
Yeah, but, seeing that happen, it was something that you don't really think you would see in your lifetime. But
Totally. That's how I was feeling at the time.
Yeah, but, I guess it happened, and I was just... keeping up with the news and seeing if it escalates or what else could happen. But it was interesting.
That was really interesting and really crazy. Like, especially aftermath news when I was reading, a guy apparently stole Nancy Pelosi's laptop and tried to sell it to Russian embassy, and the Russian embassy contacted U.S. government. What is your citizen doing, bro?
Oh my God.
Come on, man! You can't just do that. So now. When did you end the army thing?
So I finished...
That was 6 years ended.
Yeah, so I signed my contract from 2014 until 2020.
That was such a peaceful period you had in the army.
Yeah.
Nothing really happened.
No, just the fires and that protest. We did get to go on some like pretty cool training.
Okay.
Though. So there were some times where it was like pretty cool, pretty interesting experience.
Tell us one of your very interesting army experience.
So one of the first ones, one of my favorite things I got to do was in basic training, you get to throw a grenade. And that's like the only time in your life you'll probably get to do it.
I mean, hopefully.
And that was really cool. It was fun. It was a lot heavier than I expected.
Really?
Like, I thought it would be like throwing a baseball, but it was much heavier.
Call of Duty, man.
Yeah, exactly. You see them throwing it across the map like it's nothing. So when I threw it, I was like, whoa, this is pretty heavy. And it's cool, you know, feeling that explosion or whatever. But yeah, after that, my next, you know, favorite time or training would be, it was towards the end of my contract, I think around 2019 or 20. And we got to go to a FEMA training center in Alabama. And basically FEMA is like the government's like response to emergencies, like, you know, like Hurricane Katrina or like any natural disasters, stuff like that. And we got to go to this training center where we handled like live biological agents and like nerve agents. So, you know, like anything like anthrax or what else was there? I don't really remember. I forgot one of the names. It starts like with a V, but yeah, basically if you touch this stuff or inhale it or anything, like you are most likely you're gonna die.
Wow.
So it was really fun. So we got to use it like hands-on experience. We got to train with it. We got to use a lot of like high-tech equipment and go through like real life scenarios where, you know, we don't really get to do that too much just because of funding, and also like, you know, you don't really get to do your job. So this is the only kind of training where it's like as real as it gets.
I get it. Yeah. Now, as a person who wore United States Army uniform, you served the country. What is it that you want to see change in America?
Probably just, I mean, there's a lot
There's a lot, right?
Yeah, you know, like it's just, I think the main thing is the interest of the country and the government. You know, the government's interests are never the people, but more so like corporations and making them happy. You know, there wouldn't need to be so many people serving in the military or, you know, going overseas to fight if it wasn't for the country being interested in, you know, oil or poppy fields or something like that. You know, it's not like we're sending people to go die over honorable causes or something justified. So, you know, I think that would be something that we need to stop going overseas and getting involved in so many conflicts and just focus on improving the country within and making it better for people. Because, you know, it's like the richest country to ever exist, basically. And, you know, you should be able to provide so much more for your people. Mm-hmm. You know, you shouldn't have a homeless crisis where people aren't able to live or, you know, have a house, or where you have people that are so heavily addicted to drugs and opioids because of what society has pushed onto them. You know, you should be able to offer like healthcare and education to your people when you're the richest country to ever exist, and you have endless resources.
Right.
So I feel like if the country would be able to focus on itself more, then it will be able to do a lot better for the world.
Sure. Thank you. Nice words. And the gun?
The guns? Yeah, that's a tricky situation, you know, because I think they do need to put some more regulations on it, because, you know, I've seen plenty of videos where there are children under the age of 18, they go to like these gun shows, and they're able to buy a gun, no questions asked. They're able to buy a gun within 2 hours. And these gun shows, it's different from going to a gun show as compared to going to an actual gun store.
What's a gun show?
So they'll do like an event, maybe like a 3-day event, and it's almost like, you know, like tents, and everyone has their tables and they're displaying guns or whatever. And so I think the technicality with that is like when you buy a gun at the gun show, you don't have to run as deep of a background check or anything like that. So you're able to buy like more like fast process kind of thing. But when you go to like an actual gun store, an established location, they have to do a deeper background check. I think it takes maybe like a couple days. Mm-hmm. I think like 3 days, but I'm not quite sure. But, you know, it shouldn't be so easy for people to go and buy them and then turn around and use them, you know, like in public spaces.
More regulations needed.
Yeah. But also at the same time, it's like so many Americans own guns. Like it's hard to like combat it really.
Yeah. It's quite interesting. I was thinking the other day, like most developed countries, they have this inner reforms every once in a while. You see, they change things, they change system, they change point of views, they change perspective, they change laws, they take steps to reform things. But has there ever been any reform in America in the last 50 years? Like a major reform? Because I mean, I'm 30 and this is the same America I remember the whole time.
Honestly, no. Like I guess the only thing that you could probably say would be maybe Obamacare, but I really don't think that's of any use at all. Yeah, and the Patriot Act after 9/11, basically giving the United States, free, like open market to go spy on its citizens in the name of combating terrorism.
The NSA crisis.
Yeah. So and then, yeah, so. It's like every year, or not every year, but every election, you see presidential nominees running on issues and promising all this stuff. But first of all, when they get into office, none of it ever happens. They still just do like corporate bidding. And if anything, they put less regulations on things, and the way I've seen it, like especially the past couple of years, they're not going forward; they're going backwards. They overturned Roe versus Wade, limiting the access of abortions over like religious views, and I feel like that goes against separating religion and the state.
Secularism.
Exactly. And if they continue on this track, next they're gonna try and stop like people getting access to like birth control or like condoms or whatever, because they have plenty of reasons, but one of the main ones I've heard is like there needs to be more white babies. The white race is in danger.
Damn.
So it's going it's going down a dark path.
Yeah.
And like this isn't like some conspiracy. Like there are people serving in Congress and Senate that say, oh, white babies are in danger. The white race is in danger. So, like,
is it really?
I mean,
I can explain it if you want.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, the theory is white replacement theory, which they say that because the other races, and when they mean other races, they also count mixed people in there, are reproducing too much. The white population is getting replaced. Tucker Carlson, for example, just like full out put it on Fox News. No questions asked. Yeah.
Shout out to Tucker.
Yeah, he got fired from Fox News. By the way.
I know. Yeah,
I was like, that's interesting because that's like their poster child, and the facial expressions he makes while he's talking, just they're so crazy. Like I can't believe he's being serious.
Marketing, that's.
But you know what? Speaking of like being serious, like he'll say one thing on the news. And then they recently found like text messages between him and like his coworkers and stuff talking about like how stupid people are for believing the stuff that they say.
Yeah,
so it's like
that's
what?
like America kind of learned after Trump. I guess America kind of learned that bad publicity is good publicity is real strategy. It's very shocking for me seeing an American politician look at the camera calling some countries shit. Or calling people names or just humiliating races and being openly sexist and racist, and some people are like, hell yeah, let's vote for this guy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what's going on, guys? Like, am I crazy or what?
No, they say the reason that they love him so much is because he says what they're too afraid to say. They always say, oh, Trump says it how it is. You know?
I guess that personally, my personal understanding of the situation is that it seems like American people, they're thirsty for a reform, for a big change. And American political structure failed to deliver this reform, this change. And Trump found a loophole, found the bug, and is coming with this one thing. I'm going to destroy this structure. I'm going to give you something new. And since there is no alternative, there is no positive alternative to this big reform, people say, okay, let's go with Trump because I hate classical political structure of the United States.
Like, you really think he's going to go serve the interests of, the working class? Like, no, he doesn't care. He is going to go cut regulations on companies, make it easier for corporations to get away with whatever they want. And, the guy himself has filed like whole bunch of different bankruptcies for his businesses, all his failed enterprises of Trump University, Trump Steaks, Trump Casino. All of it is garbage. And yeah, he really just knew how to work the media.
Yeah, yeah. Now, at some point, you decided to move to Istanbul. What was that about?
So, you know, ever since I was probably like in high school, I never really, you know, saw myself staying and living in America. I just wanted to move elsewhere. And I don't know, for some reason, I always thought that Europe would be cool. I felt like it had a little bit more culture, a little bit more like stuff to do, stuff to see. You know, I always thought maybe somewhere like Netherlands would be cool.
Oh, nice.
You know, Spain, Portugal, something like that. I never really thought of Turkey or Istanbul. You know, like it wasn't until I came here on a vacation 1 year before I moved, and I got to see it firsthand. I was like, this is an amazing country with lots of amazing history, culture, amazing people, and great food. You know, one of my favorite things is walking throughout the city and you see the old walls of Istanbul or the old
the
walls
castles and stuff.
yeah, and I'm just like that's amazing to see. Like you're walking in like this mega city and you see these walls from like hundreds of years ago played such an important part in history. That was like something I really loved. It was really cool.
Once I was in a restaurant, we were having our table was right next to one of these walls, and I asked the owner of the restaurant. The owner said like, "This is an Ottoman palace wall." And I was like, "Wow, I'm having my meal next to a very old wall, historical."
Yeah.
So when was the first time you felt that I need to move to Istanbul? I mean, what happened?
Honestly, when I went back home, I started just thinking about it more and more. I was like, originally I kind of thought like, I want to set a goal by like 2024 to like maybe move there.
Mm-hmm.
And then just the more I stayed home and like after, with like COVID and the lockdown, I thought about it more and more.
Right.
I was like, I don't think I can bear to live another year in America. Like, especially with like the politics going on, like it's just in your face 24/7.
Everything is politicized.
Yeah. Trump, Biden, this, that, it's in your face 24/7. And it just gets stressful. You get fed up. You don't want to see it anymore. And, so I just started thinking of any possible way I can get to what I want and
also the cost of living in Los Angeles. You were
oh my
mentioning
God, yeah, it's insane. It's absolutely insane. Most Americans don't have enough saved up to afford like a $300 emergency bill. Like car repair or going to the hospital, like something like that can really make it difficult for them to survive.
I see. Los Angeles prices increased and it's very expensive to live in Los Angeles now. You mentioned that it costs annually 100,000 K.
Yeah.
That was wrong. 100,000 K is it's like double.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money.
So Los Angeles is expensive. What's going on in Los Angeles?
Oh man. There's probably a lot of different reasons, but it's just been on this upward trajectory of just nonstop rise on the cost of living, even for education. I saw that I think for a 4-year university, it's going to cost you like $25,000 a year for your degree.
Wow.
Compare that to probably like, back in the 1970s, I think it probably cost you maybe like less than $1,000 a year.
Less than $1,000.
So,
and what was the minimum wage at that time and what's the minimum wage now?
Federally, the minimum wage hasn't changed. It's been $7.25 for the federal government, but by state, like the state has a power to change that wage. I don't know what it was like, back in the 70s in California, but right now the minimum wage is like $15, which if you're working even 2 jobs, trying to work as much as you can on minimum wage, there's no way you would be able to live in California on that kind of wage.
I see. I understand. Now, again, coming back to Istanbul, the place you decided to settle down. So what about Turkish culture you like?
I like the hospitability.
Hospitality?
Hospitality. The people are very welcoming. Even though I don't speak Turkish, and most Turkish people don't speak too much English, but they still figure out a way to like make things work. Funny enough, last night my Metro card wasn't working and I was putting in the dollar bill. I just pulled it out from the ATM, and I was putting it into the machine, and it would just spit it right back out to me. I walked to every single machine, and none of it worked. Every time it would just spit out the bill right back to me. And then this Turkish guy came and started helping me, and he basically explained to me that the card had like run out of its monthly fees. Like I guess there's a limit to how much I can reload it every month. And he explained that to me, and he helped me basically activate a new Istanbul card.
Wow.
And he took him probably like 5-10 minutes to do all of that for me and help me with it. And I didn't really expect that at all. And another time I was on the metro, and same thing, the bill wasn't going in. It was like a $10 lira bill, and the guy took out his own money and gave it to me instead, and he took the bill that wasn't working. And I feel like that kind of like these small little gestures, you would never see them in America.
Right.
And I feel like American society is just so much more individualistic. You see it all the time, like on subways or in like public events where something is happening to them, whether they're falling down or they're getting in a fight. No one does anything. They just pull out their phones and start recording. They could care less of what's going on.
Yeah, that's like there's certain features with individualist society that I guess, individual freedom is increased, but at the same time, people have all the privacy and personal space they want, but also they will be alone during a crisis, as you mentioned. In a collective structure of identity of society, you have this collective group of people that they want to have the same identity. So because they're pushing to make sure they keep this same equal group collective identity among them, you will not feel very much free individually, and you will not have so much personal space. But at the same time, there are always people there to help you.
Exactly.
You can never be really hungry in Turkey. They always feed you.
Yeah.
That's one of the things about this country. Turkish food?
Yeah. Turkish food it's great. I love it. And I don't know, like
there's no gunpowder.
Was it? I don't know. Just
Fawzy was like, "What the hell, bro? You were talking about that, and suddenly jumped."
It wasn't even a question. You just said Turkish food. I'm like, do I finish it off or what do I do? No, but Turkish cuisine, it's amazing, and every region of Turkey has their own specialty.
Oh yeah.
I think my favorite, I really love mante. It's delicious.
Nice.
Especially, putting yogurt on top and the pepper flakes.
Turks love putting yogurt on top of everything.
Yeah. It can't go wrong.
They love yogurt.
It's good. Good stuff.
Değil mi abi?
Vegan yogurt, I love it.
Evet. Bizim kameraman vegandır.
Also Turkish breakfast, top tier. Probably like top
Turkish
3.
breakfast is wonderful. Yeah. I love Turkish breakfast.
It's amazing. Also, there's a lot of foods that I kind of recognize, growing up, in an Arabic household, like stuffed grape leaves and dolma in general.
Oh yeah. Sarma.
Delicious. Yeah. Some of my favorites, and they do it really well here as well. Kebab, of course.
Oh yeah.
My only, I guess, complaint would be for donar. I like it with a little bit more flavors, I guess you could say, like compared to like what they have in like Berlin. They have like Berlin style donar where it's like it has a whole bunch of different kind of like toppings and sauces and ingredients. Where here I've noticed it's much more focused on like the meat quality, which I totally understand. It's just like meat and the onion, tomato, and like some salt, pepper, whatever. That's my only complaint. But
do you know what it means, donar?
No.
It took like 3 years for me to learn. Donmek, it's turning. So donar means a kebab that is turning. That's basically what it means.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
Fun fact about donar. Because when I learned it, I was like, yeah, it makes sense. Because every time you say like donio, don kind of a thing. And one time I was like, Doner kebap, doner dönüyor. Evet ya, dönüyor. I was like, yeah. We had with Fawzy, we had also a rakı experience. We had meyhane experience.
Yeah.
We had the home rakı table experience. So please analyze the rakı experiences we had.
Honestly, that's probably one of my favorite things now. It was amazing. Amazing experience. It's very, very close experience with, close group of friends, and you really get to know, everyone at the table.
Oh, yeah.
While sharing it over like a delicious meal and, a delicious drink as well.
Yeah.
And it was my first time trying it here in Istanbul. And
Did you like rakı now?
yeah, definitely. And I like it, especially, you mentioned you don't really get too much of a hangover the next day. I wake up
yeah.
feeling perfectly fine.
Yes.
I'm like, I'm ready to do that again. Yeah, and the meyhana, it was great. Got to try a whole bunch of small dishes and share them with everyone. It was delicious.
Nice. Any favorite meze?
I really like that shrimp plate that you ordered.
Tereyağında karides or karides güveç. It's shrimp and butter and it's actually boiling in butter, the shrimp, and they're serving it hot on the table, and you have it with rakı. What's up, Bahadur?
Why you are looking?
Because I'm messing with
won't
Bahadur.
confirm you.
I'm messing with Bahadur right now. Yes. So, can you say anything in Turkish? Did you learn anything? Honestly.
I mean, just random.
Don't be afraid of making mistakes.
Just random words here and there that
Like
just
what?
like completely random. It's funny actually. I've been saying "yakşamlar" to people at the most incorrect times ever, bro. Like, so
Like
I thought it meant just like goodbye. And
Yeah.
so I would go to the gym and I'd finish my workout. And this is like middle of the day, maybe like 2 p.m. And as I'm leaving the gym, I'm saying this to the guy at the check-in office. I'm like, all right, yakşamlar.
Good evening, everyone.
And I come to realize that that's completely wrong. I'm supposed to be saying gule gule. Instead, that would be more appropriate.
Right.
And I was like, wow, that's embarrassing. Yeah, so, random words like that.
And also, you live in Beylikdüzü right now, and you have a thing with Metrobus, I guess. How's Metrobus?
Okay, public transportation here is like top tier. I really love it. And coming from a city like Los Angeles where our public transportation is garbage, like literally garbage. No one ever takes it, and if you do, you're at like high risk of being harassed by like homeless person or someone on drugs or whatever.
Is that legit? Like, if you get on a public transportation in Los Angeles, it's not really safe.
Not at all, and especially at
Okay,
night.
this is a note for everyone who want to visit Los Angeles. Avoid public transportation,
Yeah,
maybe.
Don't think that you can go to Los Angeles and maybe walk around or use public transportation. No, you need to rent a car, 100%.
Rent a car, drive your car.
Yeah, and even
Uber?
Uber, yeah, but it's expensive. I took a Uber from the airport to my house. It was maybe like less than 1 hour away. I paid $150.
Wow.
Yeah, but
Yeah, Metrobus, you were saying.
yeah, going such a long distance, it does make you a little bit tired. And it's always very busy. But I think it's great to have such great public transportation.
Yeah.
And different kinds. You have the Metrobus, you have the Marmara, you have all the underground metros, you have ferry, you have different kinds of buses as well outside of the Metrobus. So it makes it very easy for you to be able to get anywhere you want without a car. In America, that's almost impossible. Everything is revolved around having a car. So if you don't have a car, it's going to be hard for you to go to work, go to school, anything like that.
Yeah. And what about the experience, feeling crossing the bridge from Europe to Asia, from Asia to Europe? Because that's one of the things we get to live every day in Istanbul.
Yeah.
Is crossing over continents from Europe to Asia, from Asia to Europe.
Yeah.
How's the experience?
Honestly, I never get tired of it. Every time I'm on the bus, like I just stare out the window, like I can't stop looking. I'm like, it's just such an amazing view, so enriching,
Right.
And to know like the significance of like this small piece of land and this canal and everything, it's just like so much has happened in this water, crossing between Asia to Europe, and
Right.
to be on like a bus just going through it's pretty cool, and something I'll never get tired of.
Nice. Same here. Thank you for all the answers and all the things you shared with us today on this show. Any last message for our audience?
No, I mean, I'm just sharing my experience. I mean, maybe I'm a little bit biased and I have, more different views on the world than others might. All I can say is, you would just have to go experience it for yourself, but just don't be surprised when you don't find it to be what you expected it to be. A lot of America is very good at sending the message that America is the greatest. It's a, place for democracy, freedom, and enjoy the most amazing things in life in America, and the American dream. But honestly, it's not what it seems, to say the least.
I see.
And yeah, that's just
Do you
pretty
want
much.
to say a Turkish goodbye to our audience? İyi akşamlar.
Yeah, gule gule.
Nice one. Thanks, everyone. Please contact us, info@metotalk.cafe. Subscribe, comment, like, or don't. See you around. Bye.